Which is the most important thing? Tell me the story. And I think that maybe they didn't know it at the time. Robert Redford, an American actor, told the love of his life something shocking when he was upset. Redford has played a number of famous parts, and until this emotional confession, he was known for being quiet. The statement is about a woman who has been important to him for a long time. It tells a story of love, sadness, and a side of the famous actor that no one knew existed. What's the creepy love story? And would it change everything we thought we knew about Robert Redford? Come with us as we find out the whole story. How a Hollywood legend's heart really works. People all over the world know Robert Redford as the Sundance Kid and the Hollywood Golden Boy. He was the picture of cool charm, rugged good looks, and natural ability for more than 60 years. Redford seemed like the type of man who was naturally good-looking. He did it now. To the world, he did great work in movies like The Way We Were, Out of Africa, and Butch Cassidy. It looked like Redford had everything. From money, to people, to awards, to fame, you name it. What you'd find behind that famous smile, though, is something completely different. Under the magazines and stage lights, there was a man who was looking and trying, a man whose heart was a lot more complicated than the ones we saw in his movies, because even though he was the perfect main man on screen, his real life wasn't so neat, especially when it came to love. It was very important to Redford to become an actor, but he didn't want the Playboy life flings or the newspapers. He really wanted a stable life with a family and a home. Unfortunately, you can't have both because of the stress of becoming famous and having everyone know about you, not without much trouble. Let's go back in time to find out what really happened with Redford's true love and how things changed. Going back to where it all began, Lola Von Wagen met Robert Redford when he was 20 years old and had never been seen before. This was before Butch Cassidy or The Sting. They both lived in the same apartment building with Lola, who was only 17. Both young hearts quickly connected, which for Redford was the start of something romantic and real. There were no fancy presentations or cameras that flashed. They both fell in love so fast that they ran away together. In 1958, they got married in an official Mormon ceremony in Provo, Utah. Lola became not only his wife but also his compass and his steady. In the beginning, they didn't have much money and sometimes went from paycheck to paycheck. Before he had homes and magazine covers, Redford worked odd jobs and went on auditions while Lola took care of him. When he started to question himself, she kept telling him who he was. Then the kids came. They had a total of 4 children, but their journey as parents began with heartbreak. While they were still happy about the birth of their first child, Scott Anthony Redford, in 1959, they had another child who died just a few months later from SIDS. The death of their son was a wound that would never fully heal. It hurt less and less over time. No matter what, Lola and Redford stayed strong and got through the terrible loss together. Later, Redford said that losing Scott had changed him forever and caused their hearts to crack. He began to doubt everything during that time, even his faith, his life, and his mission. Life didn't stop, though. He kept going, and the two of them had more children. David James Redford was born on May 2, 1962, Shauna Jean Redford in 1960, and Army Hard Redford on October 22, 1970. Also, he started to move up in his job slowly at first, and then quickly. In the middle of the 1960s, Redford was a name that people knew. He was already a big star by the 1970s. Such fame didn't come for free, though. It put pressure on him because all of a sudden, everyone knew about everything he did. Every look and move he took with a woman made the news. They were more interested in making stories than in knowing that he was married. A lot of stories were sold by Robert Redford, who was young, blonde, and moody. Lola had a hard time during that time. She never agreed to be famous. She was used to living a private and quiet life, but she stayed in Hollywood for a long time. Even though there was a lot of talk, it was far away, and their relationship was hard. But the cracks got too big in the end, and they quietly split up in 1985. There were no secrets or public slanders, there were just two people who had grown too far apart. Even though the famous actor doesn't like to talk about it, you can still feel the pain in his words when he does. In one of his talks, he said that he feels bad about how his job hurt his family. He also said that handling fame and love was one of the hardest things he had ever done. We all know Robert Redford, but even though he was famous, liked, and a superstar, he was also a man who felt deeply, loved hard, and lost a lot. Another thing that might surprise you is what happened next in his personal life after Lola. Watch out for now. Love, goodbye. Hello, fame. The long traces of loss. After he and Lola Van Wagen split up, Redford changed even more. He went from wanting a quiet life to being someone who was always on the go. The 1970s were very busy. It came with bigger jobs and bigger movies. Robert Redford was no longer just an actor. He was becoming a better director, a more creative thinker, and a more quiet force behind the scenes. The man who used to dream of living a quiet life in the mountains was now always on the go, with meetings, film sets, and global press trips all around him. Basically, Hollywood wanted Redford to be in everything, and he did. Jeremiah Johnson, a rough and thoughtful Western, came out in 1972. Redford felt like it was more than just another part. It was about them, a man running away from everyone to live alone. I thought I heard that before. Then came The Way We Were in 1973. It was a huge hit as a love drama. When Redford played the lead role opposite Barbra Streisand, it broke people's hearts. Many people loved the movie, and he was more than just a star. He became a symbol of feeling. In the same year, The Sting came out, a sleek and stylish caper movie with Paul Newman that brought him back together with Newman. People just couldn't get enough. The movie won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and Redford was nominated for Best Acting. Next was All the President's Men, which came out in 1976, and was directed by Redford. The story of the Watergate incident was a serious and exciting political thriller. Redford played Bob Woodward, a reporter. But this movie was more than just fun. It was a statement and a warning that movies could teach, shock, and even change the system. His love for important stories, and his desire to make something that would last longer than a movie theater run grew every year. Because of this wish, he directed his first movie, Ordinary People, in 1980. A sad and quiet movie about family, loss, and guilt. Redford got 2 Oscars for Best Director and Best Picture for the movie. That's when things changed for Robert Redford. Everyone saw that he wasn't just a pretty boy face, but they were smart and could tell stories that were important. There were stories that hurt, and stories that helped. Even though he was having a lot of success, he was changing. Others at work and with friends saw it. He was less happy, spoke less, and was by himself more. Something was making him feel bad. By the early 1980s, it was clear. There was weight in his eyes that you could see. That's when he decided to focus his energy on something else. Redford opened the Sundance Institute in 1981. It is tucked away in the snowy mountains of Utah. Sundance was more than just walk-ons and awards. Independent directors, with stories that were too raw or strange for Hollywood, were encouraged to work there. He gave them a chance through his school. After that came the Sundance Film Festival. It started in 1985 and has grown over the years to become one of the world's most important events. For many, Sundance was the start of their jobs, movements, or fame. But for Redford, it was also a way to get better. Even though it was peaceful there, he still felt sad. In October 2020, more bad things happened. James Redford, his son, died. He was 58 years old. Jamie had had liver problems since he was a child. By the time he was 30, he had 2 liver transplants. This time, though, cancer came quickly and killed him. Jamie was more than just Redford's kid. Like him, he was a kind director, a father, and a supporter, who used movies to fight for mental health, clean water, and kindness. Something broke when I lost him. He had already lost a child, his first son Scott, in 1959. Death of Jamie many years later was a second blow to the heart. That sadness had never gone away. He is older and smarter now, but pain doesn't care what age he is. He didn't rush back to work this time. He pulled back. He would walk for hours on end, think, and ask himself the tough questions. During those sorrow, thought, and choice-making times, something inside him started to change. He slowly let love and a second chance into a part of himself that had been closed off. Because just when Redford thought his heart was at peace for good, someone new came into it. Someone who walked with him through the new part of his life. What was she? What changed? And how did Robert Redford learn after everything he had been through? To love again. Keep listening to find out. A new love, a calm life, and the memories of the past. When you break up with someone, life doesn't stop. At some point, nothing is said. For Robert Redford, it was from Sundance, Utah, in 1996. Sundance had been his place of meditation and creativity. During that year, he met Sybil Sagars, a multimedia artist from Germany. She was born in Hamburg in 1957 and loved nature. She worked very hard on her art projects and was interested in nature, water, and world sustainability. She wasn't starstruck like many of the other people who had come and gone from Redford's life. In fact, she had no idea who he was. He wasn't the Sundance Kid or a Hollywood star to her. His name was Robert. It was that directness and honesty that Redford liked. He was used to being praised for his fame after years of it. Redford liked how honest and straightforward they were. After decades of being praised for his fame, he liked how she approached things. She answered based on what he believed, not who he was. They talked more and spent more time together. Their bond had grown into something special over time. It wasn't a quick love story that made the news or led to an arrival on the red carpet. It was stable because they both liked art, nature, and having a simple life. They were living together by December 1996. Redford felt most like himself at their house in Sundance, which was far from Hollywood. They lived together in secret for more than 10 years. They went on trips together, worked as artists, and lived a simple, planned, and out-of-the-spotlight life. They got married in July 2009, 13 years after they started dating.
The wedding took place in Hamburg, which is where Sibylla grew up. No one else was there, not even the press or the cameras. It was just them, their family, and close friends. Afterward, Redford talked about Sibylla with quiet respect. He said that she made his life whole again. He said she was a calming force in his life, who gave him peace, calm, and a sense of purpose. They were there for each other. Sibylla started in 2015,